Welcome back to More Than a Sunday. Today we are hearing from Scott Mattingly. He's talking about all that God is doing right now in this current season of life. This is a season called Snapshot. Today we're hearing from Scott. Let's jump right in.
Yeah, I am enjoying now almost 2 years of being a director of one department. I was a youth director for 27 and a half years and loved it, and I thought I would do that for the rest of my life. And of course, eventually you get old, but age is a number, right? You told me that, Allie. So there, years ago, it is all from a positive. I was doing both at Beecher, youth and music, and it was great. It was just fine. We all have many roles, but as time went on, that ministry just exploded. It's a huge outreach to the community, and it was just too much for one. That was part-time, 15 hours. And there's sometimes 70 teenagers. It's okay. It's like nobody's fault. But sometimes people are like, how could they do that? No. It just, everybody relax. It was great. It just grew. Isn't that the whole point? We get into stuff, we want it to grow. It grew, and I knew maybe a couple years out, started talking with leaders. We did it all a really healthy way. It was hard to let go of. It's kind of been my life for many years, but it made sense, and we passed it on. And so I still do a lot of other things, but instead of 2 departments, I still have other roles. We've all got many roles. That's okay. That's a part of church ministry. But this had become like 2 very intense departments with many roles. So eventually it became crystal clear it was time to let it go. There's a part of prayer where we're just kind of, I think of it like I think of a friendship or a relationship with a great friend of mine or my wife. There's a part of where you're just talking about your day, like you're getting information, you're talking. But there's also a part where you should be listening, and there's another part where you just enjoy being together. I'm trying to learn to always come back to that last part. Like with my wife, she doesn't want me to come home and every time just because I'm a talker. I mean, but she tells me I'm a talker that knows they're a talker because I'm a good listener too, and we'll listen. I'll just let her talk. But also, we're just hanging out. We're going on vacation here to Wisconsin next month. We also don't have to talk. I want my walk with God to be like that, but even more, that I know I can bring my requests to Him. He's my Father. But I want to be listening to the Holy Spirit and also His Word, and then also not ask for anything and just be. This morning, I was hanging out. I was reading the Bible and praying with my cats. Sometimes they're a part of devotions because they just wander in, whatever, and they're there, and we're just hanging out. I want that to be constantly. I need that in my life to just sit in His presence. It's the Mary and Martha story, right? I don't want to always be doing all the stuff. I want to be the person that is sitting at His feet. So that's maybe one thing. I want to be just a child of God that is resting. Whenever I'm not doing that, I don't feel quite like myself. There's a story in the Bible, and I know this because I'm speaking soon on this topic. And we're in a series at our church about it's the parables of Jesus, right? But they're in Luke, and I looked up recently that these parables, especially the one I'm looking at, the parable of the persistent widow here soon, is 2 weeks or less from when Jesus is going to go give His life. So as He's teaching them these final stories, it's almost like He's preparing them for deep loss because their whole world is going to be shattered. They want Him to set up the kingdom now. That's not His plan. He's trying to save us all for eternity. So He's going to the cross, and we can identify with the disciples in heartbreak. They're about to get their hearts broken and shattered. And a part of this life, I think, is our faith has to be tested. So we want to find out how do we have a faith that will last. And in that story, Jesus talks about prayer, the persistent widow. There's prayer. He is not the unjust judge. He is good and sees us and cares about us. We will always want to pray, and at the end of the day, He always does what is right because He's a just God. In this life, you'll have trouble. It's John 16:33, but take heart, I've overcome the world. I would just say, it sounds trite maybe, it's our pain that shapes us, it grows us, it challenges us. It's really the test of real faith. I don't think we're ever promised, I know we're not, the life is going to be easy, or ultimately we don't belong here. You know, it's Corinthians, we're jars of clay, right? We are breakable and fragile. Paul also puts it that our body is a tent. And you don't set up shop in a tent, you're just camping, you're just hanging out. It doesn't mean that makes it easy in our pain. But we don't belong here. We're here for a time. Eternity is where, you know, with Jesus, where we belong. It's why he died for us. So there's a lot more to it, but I'm sad for people that are hurting, because I felt that as well a lot. So, but there's a purpose. There's a purpose in it. Brings us closer to God, and he's still a good God that loves us. There are just some things I've heard over the years, like tips in how to work with other people. And so I've had a thought lately. We can sometimes struggle in relationships on how to get along with people, and we don't always all like each other. But I was just thinking about like there's a big need, and I feel like in our culture, for things like giving people the benefit of the doubt before we just believe everything you hear, erring grace, or when we have a problem, we complain sideways to everybody else, but complain up is really a great concept. That means be careful who you share. You know, we're not meant to share everything with everybody. Like, we need some discretion sometimes. And I'm talking about me, by the way. I'm not saying this. I have made many mistakes in this area. It's not giving our frustrations to everybody. Like, you need people to talk to. But that offense or frustration doesn't mean it's for everybody. You know, I got to be, even with my wife, I can't go home and give her all of my junk that day. Some of it, we got to talk. She's my wife, but and attached to that is don't take on the offenses of other people. Those are just really big. Leadership, it's error and grace. Get people the benefit of the doubt. Complain up. Don't take offenses or give offenses or frustrations. In 30 years of working in church, that's what I've learned. The problems that we would not have. And here's the clincher for me. When a missionary is, like, we just don't understand each other. You ever have to work with somebody you don't understand? Welcome to life. That's the way it is. That's okay. What if we looked at that as an opportunity to get to know, what if we looked at it a little bit like how a missionary looks at a mission field? They're not, when you're going into a place you don't know, you're not thinking about yourself. You're not bringing your culture, your way, your language. You don't know the language. So we're extra careful in going into a new culture as a missionary. How do I respect them? How do I hear them? How do I learn the language? What if it's not the same, but what if we applied that to working with difficult people that we don't understand? What if we sought to understand first instead of being understood first? I want to walk into this and I want everyone to know what I am about and what I need them to know. But what if we flipped it and actually just listened first? And it may be irritating, and we may not get along, because that's life. We may not get along with everybody. It's okay, but if our attitude was, I've taken students on eight to eight mission trips over the years. We go through classes, we do all this stuff to be extra careful, to learn the culture and the ways and the customs and the language and all that stuff. Just what if we looked at people that way?
Thanks again for joining us on More Than a Sunday. We will see you next time.